Kelvin Mitnick, from fugitive hacker to cybersecurity legend. Kelvin David Mitnick, born August 6, 1963 in Van Nuys, California, became one of the most notorious hackers in history and later one of cybersecurity's most recognized defenders. His story began not with sophisticated malware, but with an understanding of something even more powerful: people. The early hacker. As a teenager, Mitnick became fascinated with telephone networks and computer systems. Around 1979, at age 16, he gained unauthorized access to Digital Equipment Corporation (DEC) systems and copied proprietary software. He also learned to manipulate telephone company procedures and employees to obtain information. This became his signature technique: social engineering, exploiting human trust to bypass technical security. 1981, Pacific Bell. At about 17, Mitnick and associates broke into a Pacific Bell facility and obtained internal telephone company materials, including documentation related to its Cosmos system. It was an early demonstration of his ability to combine technical intrusion with human manipulation. 1988. First federal conviction. Mitnick was eventually caught. In 1988, he pleaded guilty to computer crimes involving Digital Equipment Corporation, including unauthorized access and theft of proprietary software. He received 12 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. But his hacking did not stop. 1992, The Fugitive. Near the end of his supervised release, Mitnick violated its conditions and became linked to unauthorized access involving Pacific Bell voicemail systems. He disappeared. For more than 2.5 years, Mitnick became a federal fugitive. Using aliases, cloned cellular phones, and social engineering techniques, he moved between locations while continuing to access computer and telecommunication systems. Investigators eventually linked him to unauthorized activity involving companies including Motorola, Nokia, Sun Microsystems, Netcom, and The Well. The allegations involved stolen software, passwords, proprietary information, and unauthorized system access. But the Mitnick legend often became larger than the documented crimes themselves. His real strength was not simply hacking computers. It was understanding how systems, networks, and people work together. The hacker who attacked another hacker. On December 25, 1994, computers belonging to security researcher Tsutomu Shimomura were compromised. Specialized software and other files were stolen. Shimomura began tracking the attacker and concluded that Mitnick was responsible. The hunter had now become the hunted. The FBI manhunt Shimomura worked with federal investigators using telephone network analysis, cellular tracking, and electronic surveillance to trace Mitnick. Mitnick attempted to conceal himself using cloned cellular identities and other techniques. Eventually, investigators narrowed his location to Raleigh, North Carolina. His greatest advantage, his knowledge of telecommunications, was now helping investigators find him. February 15, 1995. Capture. At approximately 1:30 a.m. on February 15, 1995, FBI agents arrested Mitnick at his Raleigh apartment. He was 31 years old. Computers, cellular equipment, false identification, and other materials were seized. After more than 2 years as a fugitive, Condor was finally captured. The government battle. Mitnick's arrest became more than a criminal case. It became a national debate about hackers, computer crime, surveillance, and punishment in the early Internet era. In 1996, a federal grand jury indicted him on 25 counts involving alleged computer, wire, and communications-related crimes. His supporters argued that the government's portrayal of him was exaggerated. The case also produced controversial claims about the danger Mitnick supposedly represented, including the famous but highly disputed story that he could somehow start a nuclear war by whistling into a payphone. He spent years in custody awaiting the conclusion of his case under highly restrictive detention conditions. 1999, the plie. On March 26th, 1999, Mitnick pleaded guilty to 7 federal charges, including wire fraud, computer fraud, illegal interception of a wire communication. He also admitted violating his earlier supervised release. The court ultimately imposed 46 months in prison, plus 22 months for the earlier violation. Combined with his previous incarceration, Mitnick spent more than 5 years behind bars. He was released in January 2000. From felon to white hat. His release came with strict restrictions on his use of technology, but instead of returning to cybercrime, Mitnick made one of the most remarkable career transformations in cybersecurity history. He became a security consultant, penetration tester, author, public speaker, social engineering expert. He founded Mitnick Security Consulting, helping organizations identify vulnerabilities through simulated attacks and security assessments. The knowledge that once made him a target of law enforcement became his professional weapon for defending organizations. The Art of Deception. Mitnick became a best-selling cybersecurity author. His books, including The Art of Deception and The Art of Intrusion, brought social engineering into mainstream cybersecurity awareness. His central lesson was simple. A perfectly secured computer can still be compromised through the human being operating it. No.B4 Mitnick later became Chief Hacking Officer at No.B4, helping organizations understand and defend against threats such as social engineering, phishing, and human layer attacks. His career had come full circle. The former hacker was now teaching organizations how to stop hackers. His final years, Mitnick remained active in cybersecurity through consulting, speaking, writing, and security awareness education. His reputation evolved from notorious computer criminal to influential cybersecurity educator. He became one of the world's most recognizable authorities on social engineering and human-centered security. July 16, 2023, Satam. The final chapter. Kelvin Mitnick died on July 16, 2023, aged 59. He had been battling pancreatic cancer for about 14 months. His death was announced by his family and No.B4. He died peacefully, leaving behind a complicated but extraordinary legacy. The legacy. Kelvin Mitnick's story can be reduced to one extraordinary transformation: teenage hacker to federal prisoner to fugitive, to FBI target to captured criminal to security consultant to cybersecurity educator. He exposed weaknesses in computer systems. He demonstrated the power of social engineering. He helped shape public understanding of the human attack surface. And after once being hunted by the government for hacking, he spent the final decades of his life helping governments and corporations defend themselves against hackers. Kelvin Mitnick did not simply cross the line between black hat and white hat. He became one of the people teaching the world where that line was.